Part 107. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1061. The sun shines on the sparkling lake of Wuqi, coating the lake with a layer of golden light. A thin layer of mist rises on the lake, which looks particularly peaceful in the morning light. Several snow-white waterbirds are flying near Tianyi Island. The reeds screamed and flew up, into the air, and passed by several figures flying in the sky. All of this heralded the arrival of a new day. Xiaopingyan stood by the lake, quietly admiring the scenery in front of him, integrating his mind into the rising sun and void of the lake, and his whole mind gradually became full and active. The final result of the Diao City boundary pearl was too heroic, like a big dream that was difficult to let go. The faces of the generals who did not want to die for their country in Diao City flashed in Xiaopingyan's mind from time to time, which made Xiaopingyan last night after the fusion was successful. His mind could not be calm for a long time, so early this morning, Xiaopingyan came to the lake to relax himself, completely integrate his mind and return to reality. The Diao City boundary pearl increased Xiaopingyan's secret mandala's upper limit of divine power by another 360 points, and also provided Xiaopingyan with the secret summoning method to summon Diaopingyan, a steel fortress that would never fall. After the blessing of such a world bead, the upper limit of Xiaopingyan's secret mandala's divine power has approached 29,500 points, and the mark of 30,000 points is getting closer and closer. Just when Xiaopingyan exhaled a long breath, the water droplets in the supersensory twin crystal in his secret mandala warehouse began to vibrate rapidly. This was the result of this supersensory twin crystal receiving another supersensory crystal. The twin crystals responded to the signal. The power of these supersensory twin crystals is that even if they are placed in a space warehouse or secret mandala, they can still sense the situation of the other crystal. Xiaopingyan just thought. The frequency of the vibrating water droplets in the supersensory twin crystal is different according to the length. Just like a telegraph, it can transmit different letters and numbers. After these letters and numbers are translated according to a certain set of rules, they can determine where to send them. The identity and specific information of the person receiving the information. Sure enough, you guessed it. The Minglu family has started spreading rumors in Wuqi that their son has stolen 100-section dragon grass. However, I have left Wuqi through special channels, so I have to temporarily avoid the Minglu family. The road is far away, you and I each take care, see you again when we are destined. Lu Shanhe acted quickly in just one night. Before the Minglu family's network was fully opened, he made a decisive decision and left Wuqi. Such a sense of smell and agility made Xiaopingyan secretly sigh. Those who can participate in the sky repairing project are the best among billions of people. It seems that Lu Shanhe can survive to this day and advance to the level of demigod. It's really not all about luck or luck. Lu Shanhe left Wuqi at this moment, not only avoiding the conflict with the ancient god bloodline family, but also taking the initiative to distance himself from himself to avoid involving himself. For the Tian-mending project, it is most dangerous for two people who are most likely to complete the plan to appear in the same place and may even be involved in the same conflict. Such a situation should be avoided at all costs. Take care and see you soon. Xiaopingyan also controlled the supersensory twin crystals in the secret mandala and sent a message to Lu Shanhe. The two met briefly in Wuqi this time, just like God arranged it. After this time, I really don't know how long it will take for them to meet in the future, or it may become a permanent farewell. Ever since I set foot on this road, it has become normal to be separated from my comrades and friends, even by life and death. Senior, just think of me as giving you my last ride in Wuqi. The summoners from WA Star are not easy to bully. So what about the blood descendants of ancient gods? If you come out to mess around, you have to be prepared to pay the price at any time. Xiaopingyan, looking in the direction of the sunrise, he whispered to himself. After saying this, Xiaopingyan pinched his fingers and muttered something in his mouth. In more than 10 seconds, a carp transformed from countless secret patterns and divine power was born. Appearing in Xiaoping'an's hand, the carp was vivid and 1 foot long, just like the real thing. Go Xiaoping'an let go of his hand, and the carp slipped out of his hand and fell into the 5 ponds at his feet. His body turned nimbly in the water, disappeared in the blink of an eye, and swam towards the distance. Go and disappear in the sparkling lake in the blink of an eye. There was only Xiaoping'an on Island B that day, and there was no one else nearby, so Xiaoping'an cast a small spell without worrying about anything. Even if someone saw it from the side, they would not know what secret method he was using. This secret method was created by Xiaoping'an after he had mastered several secret methods in the Sutra Collection Hall and read and studied many secret methods in the universe. Technique, Endless Mysteries. After performing the secret technique, Xiaoping'an rose into the sky, transformed into a crane, and then flew towards the city. Yesterday he met Lu Shanhe as soon as he arrived in Wuke. There were many places selling boundary beads in the city. Xiaoping'an had not visited them. He had nothing to do today, so he just happened to go and have a look. Xiaoping'an didn't believe it. He couldn't find them in the city. A few world beads that I have never fused. In less than half an hour, Xiaoping'an's incarnation of the crane landed in a market on the shore. This market was already bustling with people coming and going early in the morning. Xiaoping'an was holding a folding fan. Just like a handsome young man, he started walking around the market. Just half an hour after Xiaoping'an city, there was a place dozens of kilometers away from here near the shore of Wuke. In the lake, amid the splashing sound, countless laps condensed by the lake water butterflies, large and small, flew out of the lake. Each water butterfly flapped its transparent wings and flew towards the surrounding cities. There were too many water butterflies flying out of the lake, thousands of them. As soon as they flew out of the lake, they flew away in all directions. In a nearby market, a group of people wandering around in the market suddenly noticed a butterfly made of water flying over. The butterfly was extremely smart and cute, but the body made entirely of people seemed a bit strange. Ah, what is this? Then, under the attention of everyone, the water butterfly flew into the crowd, vibrating its wings. The wings of the water butterfly began to make a sound like a tape recorder. The sound was slightly old. Young master, this is Wuke, not the Minglu family's city territory. Killing people here at will be a trouble for the master and bad for the reputation of the Minglu family if it is spread. This time, the master of the family also told the master to let the master go out. Control your temper and focus on important things. Then, another sound came from the butterfly's vibrating wings. This sound turned out to be Minglu Yuhui's. So what if someone knows, I just said that I killed one of my own summons. Is there anyone in Wuke who dares to check and embarrass me? The real master of this universe and all realms should be our ancient god blood descendants, we should be the co-masters of the universe. Other races are just slaves born to be driven by us. The death of our ancient gods allowed these lowly ant-like human races to have the title of gods. The opportunity to steal the glory of my ancient god lineage, if the emperor god of my ancient god lineage were still alive. The people around who heard these two sounds were stunned. Countless people around noticed the abnormality here and gathered around to look at the butterfly that made the sound. But the butterfly's wings did not stop and were still vibrating. Then, the conversation between Minglu Yuhui and Butler Chu discussing how to frame someone else's Beja Yalanko appeared in everyone's ears. After transmitting these sounds, the water butterfly flapping its wings suddenly turned into a small water ball and fell to the ground without leaving any trace. Everyone who listened to the gossip was shocked and in an uproar. They didn't expect the Minglu family to be so shameless and arrogant. Wherever the water butterflies flew, the same scene appeared. Even when Xiaoping'an was walking on the street, he encountered a water butterfly. After the water butterfly reproduced the sound, the people around him suddenly became excited. Damn it, the Minglu family is so shameless, actually taking the Beja Yolonko from other people's hands in such a clever way. Several people around Xiaopingan were already scolding. The young master of the Minglu family directly killed someone in Wuke. This broke the rules set by the Wuke group. It's nothing to kill people and seize treasures. You hear the tone of this young man from the Lu family, but he treats everyone except their descendants of the ancient gods as slaves, someone else said angrily. These damn bastards, someone was already yelling angrily, what era are we in, and they still dream of the ancient gods uniting all worlds. If the ancient gods are strong, big, how could it be destroyed? I don't believe that these descendants of the ancient gods dare to say such things in front of the other gods under the two masters. The whole Wuke was in an uproar instantly. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1062. Rumors are all dirty rumors. This is someone slandering my Minglu family. My Minglu family is a majestic descendant of the ancient gods and would never do such a despicable and shameless thing. This rumor must be stolen. It was released by someone who came from my Minglu family, Beja Yolonko. If anyone can provide information about the rumor maker, the Minglu family will definitely thank you and ask all my friends to learn from it. A total of 10 figures with the aura of demigods flew into the sky. The surging divine power spread in the sky, and the rumbling sound resounded over the entire Wuke Minglu family residence. Minglu Yuhui didn't come forward. The person who spoke was the Minglu family's steward Qu. The voice sounded like he was frustrated. This is what Xiaopingan saw after walking around the market for 2 hours. Those water butterflies spread the news too fast. By the time the Minglu family found out that something was wrong, the entire Wuke almost knew what the Minglu family had done, so those half of the Minglu family who were sent out to intercept someone, the strong men, were summoned back one by one in a hurry and guarded around the Minglu family's residence, for fear that something would happen. The things that the Minglu family did, whether they were killing people at will in Wuke, or framing and robbing Beja Dragon Grass, or even the remarks made by the Minglu family's young master that spread to other races, actually caused public outrage. The Minglu family felt guilty and had to quickly call back the people they sent out to prevent any accidents. This achieved Xiaopingan's goal. On the one hand, it alleviated the pressure on Lu Shanhe, and on the other hand, it also put the Minglu family into huge trouble in Wuke. Reputation is something that sometimes seems useless, but sometimes it is priceless. The voice in the sky repeated the above words 3 times, and then the figures that flew into the sky fell back to the ground. However, the audience below did not buy the Minglu family's rumor refutation this time. Many people around Pingan sneered, and some shook their heads. Everyone is not stupid. Although no one will risk becoming enemies of the ancient god blood family and fight with the Minglu family just because they heard those conversations, because after all, the matter has nothing to do with them. Everyone is just watching the fun, and no one will put yourself in the trouble of confronting the Minglu family, but once the opinion in your mind is formed, it cannot be reversed by the Minglu family with just a few shouts. Hey hey hey, I don't know what kind of people the Minglu family has provoked this time. It's like kicking the iron plate. Listening to the sound, what Minglu Yuhui and their steward Chu said can be heard. Tisk tisk. These ancient gods, as expected, the family is all sanctimonious on the surface, but behind the scenes, men steal and women prostitute, and each of them actually wants to dominate the world again. Next to Xiaopingan, a low-level monk who was selling medicinal herbs complained directly with contempt. I heard that news has come from Qianbaofang. Yesterday, someone was selling Beja Dragon Grass in Qianbaofang. The young master of the Minglu family wanted to buy it, but because the price was too low, they didn't sell it. So last night, the Minglu family, I just released the news that my Beja Yolonko was stolen. It's so shameless, another passerby on the street said. That's right, there are so many powerful people in the Minglu family, how could anyone steal the Beja Yolong grass from the Minglu family? Now it depends on how the war groups will deal with it. The Minglu family killed someone in Wuke. This has violated the rules set by the war groups. If the war groups don't say anything about this matter, they will be punished. It's a slap in the face. How can I have the face to care about others in the future? Now I am curious, who can know the details of the Minglu family so clearly? The secret method of water butterfly is simply unheard of, it is too mysterious. There are experts in Wuke. Maybe there is a powerful person who dislikes the Minglu family, so he takes action to teach the Minglu family a lesson. Let's wait and see the good show. People around him were talking a lot with a smile on his face. Xiaopingan had already walked briskly to a stall selling boundary beads. There were many people around the stall. On the stall, there were more than 20 various world beads. Xiaopingan scanned the world beads and suddenly saw a divine world bead that he had not fused with. Lu Yujian withdraws the supervisory army, and he suddenly felt astonished. How to sell this world bead? Xiaopingan asked the stall owner. The stall owner was an old man in his 60s, with all kinds of odds and ends hanging all over his body. Like a salesman walking down the street, he doesn't look like a demigod from his aura. This world bead requires 5,600 points of divine crystals. The old man glanced at Xiaopingan, showed his yellow teeth, and quoted a price. To Xiaopingan, this price is like picking up for free, but Xiaopingan also knows that buying things in a place like this is like buying antiques at a street stall. No matter how cheap you think the price is, you have to bargain. If you don't bargain, even if the stall owner sells to you, the stall owner will feel that he has suffered a loss and will feel uncomfortable, and some may cause some trouble later. It's too expensive. Can you make it cheaper? This is just a very ordinary divine power world bead. Xiaopingan began to bargain with the stall owner on the price. After some haggling, the stall owner finally gave Xiaopingan 200 points of divine crystals at a discount. This divine power world bead of Lu Yujian withdraws the supervisory army was bought by Xiaopingan for 5,400 points of divine crystals. Xiaopingan put away the boundary bead and was in a good mood. It felt good to be able to buy the boundary bead. Xiaopingan, who had harvested a world pearl, continued to wander around the market. In the market of Wuke, there were too many streets and alleys, and there were all kinds of things. It didn't take more than 3 or 5 days. Can't see it at all. Fortunately, Xiaopingan was not in a hurry and could take his time to read. Compared with Xiaopingan, Minglu Yuhui was not happy. Not long after their family had just refuted the rumor, the head of Wuke's law enforcement team had already arrived at Minglu Yuhui's residence. Wuke is not the territory of a certain battle group, but is jointly managed by several battle groups. This law enforcement team is composed of members of several battle groups and is responsible for jointly maintaining the basic order of Wuke. In these basic orders, killing is in Wuke. Pooling is expressly prohibited. What, you actually want us Minglu family members to leave Wuke? After Minglu Yuhui heard what the captain of the law enforcement team said, his whole face changed, and he was extremely ugly, and he stood up suddenly. Stand up. This is a joint decision of several battle groups. I'm just here to inform you. Considering the face of the Minglu family, this is just a well-intentioned suggestion, not a request. Now the people in Wuke are very excited, and many people know that you live in here. In order to avoid anything bad happening, it is best for you to leave Wuke temporarily. The captain of the Wuke law enforcement team, whose surname is Cao, is also a demigod. Looking at the changed Minglu Yuhui, Captain Cao looked calm. It seems that he is a ruthless character, otherwise he would not have been sent to negotiate with the Minglu family. Our Minglu family are descendants of the ancient gods. Captain Cao, do you know what your decision means? Butler Chu said coldly from the side. What happened today is just that someone wants to discredit our Minglu family. The truth or falsehood of what happened today has nothing to do with the topic we want to discuss. We will not get involved in the grievances of the Minglu family. Of course, the Minglu family has the rules of the Minglu family, and our Wuke also has the rules of Wuke. What does Guanjia Chu mean? Yes, the rules of your Minglu family can override the rules of the Wukka group. This soft but hard rhetorical question made Gu Guanjia slightly suffocated. He didn't know how to speak. Although the Minglu family has a great business, it has not surpassed the strength of Wukka's major groups. If the Minglu family really competes with Wukka, several of Kai's war groups are at odds with each other. The consequences of this will bring troubles to the family for him and Minglu Yonghui, who are the instigators. If we don't leave, what can you do? Minglu Yonghui suppressed his anger, slammed the table, leaned forward, looked at Captain Cao with some arrogance and asked. If you don't leave, it will indeed be a bit difficult. Captain Cao smiled, and his tone suddenly softened, considering that the Minglu family has a good relationship with several war groups. In order to ensure your safety in Wukka, our major groups can only send people to protect you at any time. From now on, as long as the Minglu family members are in Wukka, our people will follow them to provide full-day personal protection. How about this treatment? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1063. Outsiders didn't quite understand the reason, but a group of experts from the Minglu family left Wukka voluntarily later that day, in full view of countless people. When the Minglu family left Wukka, Xiaoping'an had already returned to the cave he rented, and integrated the divine power world bead Lu Yujian withdrawal of the prison army just obtained today, adding another 15 to his secret mandala. The upper limit of divine power. Of course, the people of the Minglu family are not stupid. When the conversation between Minglu Yonghui and Butler Chu became known to everyone in Wukka, they also knew that something was wrong with the people around them, so after leaving Wukka, the two slaves of the Minglu family who had been controlled were searched and inspected using secret methods. Although Minglu Yonghui and Butler Chu found no problems with the two slaves, they still followed the principle of preferring to kill the wrong one rather than let it go. With a cruel heart, he directly asked his powerful demigods to secretly execute the two slaves outside the city, leaving no trace of their bodies. The line Xiaoping'an left at Minglu's house was broken. However, Xiaoping'an didn't feel bad either. This line was originally arranged by him for an idler, and he didn't expect it to be of much use. This time, the idler could help Lu Shanhe leave Wukka smoothly and easily, and also brought Ming Ming to the rescue. It's enough that the Lu family has been disgraced in Wukka. In the next more than 2 months, Xiaoping'an was in Wukka, searching for boundary beads everywhere in the city, and at the same time inquiring about the news about the Yuanji Temple and the Chaos Yuanji Lock in the Linghuang secret realm. Integrated into the secret realm of spiritual wilderness. Regarding the Yuanji Temple, this is the biggest secret that everyone knows in the Linghuang secret realm. However, the Yuanji Temple has disappeared without a trace and has not appeared in the Linghuang secret realm for many years. Therefore, there is nothing useful that can be found out. This kind of thing, can only rely on chance. Minglu Yonghui and the others disappeared without a trace after leaving Wukka, and their traces were never seen again. However, Xiaoping'an believed that the people from Minglu's family might not have completely left Wukka at all, but were just hiding temporarily. Just get up. Minglu Yonghui hated Lu Shanhe so much that he gnashed his teeth. He thought that Lu Shanhe was still in Wukka and could not leave so soon. What happened this time was that Lu Shanhe had tricked them into not cutting Lu Shanhe into pieces. Lu Yonghui will never give up. However, they didn't know Lu Shanhe's name. They only knew Lu Shanhe's appearance and that Lu Shanhe had 100-joint dragon grass in his hand. In this case, they wanted to find someone in this vast spiritual wasteland. The strong demigods who have left Wukka are no better than finding a needle in a haystack. As for appearance, for the strong demigods, all kinds of secret techniques and props for disguise are common things. In addition to Lu Shanhe, Another reason that allows the Minglu family to stay in Wukka is that the eternal underground palace in Wukka is about to open. This is the most important reason why the Minglu family came to Wukka this time. Xiaoping'an even suspected that the reason why the Minglu family members disappeared might have been after disguising themselves and entering Wukka again. The people of the Minglu family left Wukka just to give themselves and the Wukka war groups a step to resolve the previous matter, so as to avoid everyone's embarrassment. The people from the Minglu family once again disguised themselves and entered Wukka. Not to mention that it was impossible for others to know their identities. Even if the big groups did find out, they would probably turn a blind eye. Half a month after the Minglu family left Wukka, the news that the Eternal Life Underground Palace in Wukka would be reopened had become very popular in Wukka. Wukka, which was originally peaceful, gradually became lively. Demigods from all directions, powerful men of the first level of gods, teams from various battle groups, ancient god families, flying boats, various trees of life, arriving from the sky and from the ground every day. Wukka the meeting gradually became lively. As more people came, the caves on the islands in Wukka were quickly rented out. The other two caves on Tianyi Island where Xiaoping'an was located soon had new demigods. In the sky above Tianyi Island, countless people fly here and there every day, searching for information about the Wukka Eternal Life Underground Palace. Under this situation, Xiaoping'an lives in seclusion every day, walking low-key in the streets and alleys of Wukka, collecting boundary beads, and occasionally gains something. In public places in Wukka, although the world beads that are too rare and precious cannot be put out for sale like Chinese cabbage, you can still find some of Xiaoping'an's treasures here. There are no divine power sphere beads or ordinary spell summon sphere beads that have been fused before. It is precisely with the blessing of these divine power world beads and spell summoning world beads that the upper limit of divine power in Xiaoping'an's secret mandala has been increasing little by little for more than 2 months, making progress every day, and gradually approaching the upper limit of 30,000 divine power points reached 29,974 points. In the past few days, there have been heavy dark clouds over Wukka. It has been raining for 3 days in a row in Zhejiang and Zhejiang. The entire Wukka has been shrouded in thick rain and fog. The streets and alleys of the bustling city in the past 2 days have also been slightly dull. It seems a bit deserted, with fewer pedestrians on the street. In an antique grocery store deep in Changchong Lane near Wuchedongfang, Xiaoping'an, wearing a grey robe, was drinking tea while looking at the strings of pearls under the tile eaves outside the store. The raindrops were dripping like water, and he was slightly in a trance. The scene in front of him reminded Xiaoping'an of Shangjing City, Kaoko, and those friends and partners on WA Star. When it rains in this world, it is no different from other worlds. The joys, sorrows, and joys of all living beings are no different, Xiaoping'an said softly to himself, feeling something special in his heart. A stick of sandalwood is burning in the grocery store, and the white smoke of sandalwood lingers in the store. At this time, sipping tea, lighting incense, and looking at the rain in the alley outside will make people feel that the world is divided between heaven and earth. The tranquility outside. Xiaoping'an has been waiting in this store for more than 20 minutes. Master Yang, please wait a moment. Our shopkeeper should be back soon. The mortal boy in Xingyi in the shop smiled humbly and apologetically, while walking over again and refilling the teacup in front of Xiaoping'an. A little water. It's okay, I'm not in a hurry. There's enough tea, no need to add more. Xiaoping'an smiled slightly. Our shopkeeper also received news from a friend just this morning, saying that there are boundary beads pawned in the pawn shop that have expired and can be sold. The shopkeeper knew that Mr. Yang was coming today, so he specifically told me to invite Mr. Yang if he wanted to come. Take a short rest in the shop, our shopkeeper will be back soon. After getting the jizu, the boy in Xingyi waited carefully. Xiaoping'an is one of the big customers of their small shop. In the past 2 months, he has grown from their shopkeeper bought 8 or 9 world beads, which made their shopkeeper really make a fortune. Just as the boy in green clothes was talking, the sound of wheels running on the ground and the sound of bells on horses could be faintly heard from the box outside. In less than half a minute, a four-wheeled carriage stopped at the door of the grocery store. A middle-aged man in purple robe opened the door and got out of the car. When the waiter in the store saw the middle-aged man, his face lit up. "Ah, our shopkeeper is back." He quickly held an umbrella and went out. A few seconds later, the middle-aged man with some water stains on his clothes came into the room. When he saw Xiaopinggan, a warm smile appeared on his face. "Sorry, Mr. Yang has been waiting for so long. This time fortunately, I lived up to my destiny and received another boundary bead. Mr. Yang should like it." Xiaopinggan stood up with a smile on his face. "You'll know just by looking at it." As he spoke, the shopkeeper in purple had already arrived at the tea room where Xiaopinggan was drinking tea. The boy in green clothes carefully closed the door outside the tea room. "Although this world bead is not rare, I have only seen this world bead 3 times in all the years I have been in Wuke." Shopkeeper Zi came to Xiaopinggan and moved his hand, and an extra wooden box appeared. He opened it. In the box, there is a plain green bead. There are only 3 small seal characters in the boundary bead, which is a person's name, He Yi. Seeing this name, Xiaopinggan's eyes moved slightly and asked deliberately, "What kind of world bead is this?" "Mr. Yang, there is still some controversy as to what kind of world bead this is, because the divine mind crystal that can match this world bead has almost never appeared in the world, and the people who can fuse this world bead are very rare, not 1 in 10,000. It's just that I once saw in a notebook of predecessors that a strong person once fused this world bead and was able to receive the blessing of divine power from heaven. With every move he made, he could have the power to overwhelm mountains and reverse the flow of rivers. All those people believed it. This world bead is called the Power God world bead. However, this is also a legend in the notes of predecessors. No one has been able to confirm its authenticity. Therefore, the effect of this world bead is unknown, but one thing is certain. Even if the fusion of this world bead fails, no one will die, so this world bead is very safe." Shopkeeper Zi gushed and introduced it immediately. "Well, this world bead sounds good. I want it." "Shopkeeper, please give me a price." Xiaopinggan picked up the world bead, smiled slightly, and said directly, "It's still refreshing, Mr. Yang." The shopkeeper also smiled, with a warm look on his face. "To be honest, I also had a connection with this world bead. I just got it from a friend. The original price of this world bead was 9,800. Divine crystals are much more expensive than ordinary world beads. I will make a little profit. I will sell them for 11,000 divine crystals." "Mr. Yang, don't think I am greedy. 1 world bead will earn you more than 1,000 divine crystals. The divine crystal I earned does not belong to me alone, I still need to take care of the relationship. What do you think, Mr. Yang?" "Okay, then 11,000 points of divine crystals." The shopkeeper's bid was pretty reliable, so Xiaopinggan didn't even bother to negotiate the price. He moved his hand, put away the boundary beads, took out 11,000 points of divine crystals and handed it over, and the transaction was just a matter of time. Finished happily. Xiaopingyan vaguely felt that after fusing this world bead, his secret mandala's divine power should be able to exceed 30,000 points. Others could not fuse this world bead, so if he fused it, there would be no difficulty at all. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1064. "Mr. Yang, do I need to call you a car?" "No, I can just walk. I can still go shopping." "Master Yang, please go slowly." The shopkeeper and the boy directly sent Xiaopinggan to the door of the store with smiles on their faces. The boy also handed over an umbrella. More than 10,000 points of divine crystals are nothing to people like Xiaopinggan, but to these people below demigods, this is already a rare big deal in their store, so they are particularly concerned about Xiaopinggan. Enthusiasm. "Thank you, I don't need an umbrella, the rain won't catch me. Xiaopinggan glanced at the still raining sky, smiled, shook his head slightly, rejected the umbrella handed over by the boy, and walked directly into the rain. The raindrops in the depths of Changchong Alley are continuous, and the rainwater under the green tile ditches is like a string of bead curtains. There are patches of moss in the corners of the alley, and the stone ground is wet. And as soon as Xiaopinggan walked out of the shop, there was an invisible barrier outside him. The raindrops falling in the sky automatically slid away a foot away from him, like an invisible umbrella. It's like looming over him. The shopkeeper and the boy were a little surprised as they watched Xiaopinggan walk into the alley without touching anything. Shopkeeper, this Mr. Yang must be a king-level expert above level 100, right? No wonder he is so rich. The boy took a sip of saliva, looked at Xiaopinggan's back with envy, and asked, although Xiaopinggan has been to the store many times, but neither the shopkeeper nor the waiter in the store knew the level of Xiaopinggan's cultivation. They only knew that Xiaopinggan was a summoner. It's possible the shopkeeper also whispered to himself, and was slightly shocked. It was also the first time today that he saw Xiaopinggan show his cultivation. Xiaopinggan's cultivation seems to be more than king level. Could it be the creation class? Impossible. Those creators who are close to the gods are all superior. Although there are many strong people in the creation class in Wuke, in the eyes of those people, mortals and even king-level masters are like ants. Likewise, no matter how friendly those people are, they all have the aura of looking down on all living beings, but none of them are as polite and easy to talk to as Mr. Yang. The shopkeeper was also muttering secretly in his heart. Shopkeeper, it seems you have to wait a few more levels before you can advance to the general level, right? The boy seemed to have thought of something, and turned to ask the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper's slap hit the back of the boy's head, and he cursed lightly, are these things you worry about? Go to work and scrub the floor of the store again. Xiaopinggan walked through the alley and came to the street of Dongfang outside. There was a thin layer of rain and fog on the street, and there were many fewer pedestrians and stalls. He still had time today, and he wanted to go to another place to see if he had any harvest. Just prepared to return to Tianyi Island. More than an hour later, Xiaopinggan came to the door of an auction house called Wenhintang and walked in calmly. Ah, young Master Yang is here again. 2 more boundary beads have come to our hall in the past 2 days. The greeter at the door of Wenjin Hall with a mustache, a pair of small eyes, and a somewhat lewd smile looked at him. When I arrived at Xiaopinggan, I was greeted with a smile. Xiaopinggan was also a frequent visitor to this place. This welcoming smile was so warm and flattering that every time Xiaopinggan came, he felt that he was not coming to the auction hall, but to some romantic place, and only this guy came and said something in a cocky voice. The girls are here to pick up the guests. Master Yang, please go to the room and rest for a while. I will get the boundary pearl right away. The guy left in a hurry. After a few minutes, he came in with 2 boxes and opened the boxes. What do you think of these 2 world beads, Mr. Yang? Xiaopinggan glanced at the 2 world beads in the box, shook his head, and stood up. I don't need these 2 world beads. I'll take a look next time. Okay, when the new world pearl comes next time, we will keep it for young Master Yang. Xiaopinggan was not disappointed and left Wenjin Hall immediately. When he got outside, he was slightly stunned because he saw Du Ming standing on the road outside Wenjin Hall, looking at him with a smile. At this moment, Du Ming's face was red and he was wearing a somewhat coquettish blue-gold robe. Wearing white boots at his feet, he did not let any dust fall. The aura of the powerful demigod was released on him. The raindrops flying in the sky were already repelled more than 10 meters away from him, even where he stood. The surrounding ground was also dry, evaporated by invisible heat, without even a drop of moisture. The few pedestrians on the street looked at him in awe, and the carriages that were originally running on the street also stopped at a distance. The horses pulling the cart didn't dare to get too close to him, so they had to take a detour. Brother Yang, long time no see, Du Ming looked at Xiaopinggan and grinned. He seemed to be in a good mood and didn't care at all about the surprised and odd looks around him. As soon as Xiaopinggan saw him, he knew that this was not an accidental encounter. This guy should have come to see him on purpose. I haven't seen you for more than 2 months. It seems that Brother Du's cultivation has improved again. Congratulations. Ha ha ha, I got some good stuff before. I just need to digest it in the past 2 months. I just came out of quarantine yesterday. Brother Du came to see me today to buy me a drink. Of course, I have already prepared the banquet, which is all high-quality wine. But before drinking, I would like to ask Brother Yang to accompany me to kill a piece of garbage. There are too many people coming to Wukki recently, and there are all kinds of monsters, cats, and dogs. Come join in the fun. The security in the city is also a bit chaotic. It's time to see blood. This garbage, called the Blood Sea Wolf Demon, is a mutant werewolf demigod, who has been in the secret realm of the spiritual wasteland for decades, burning, killing, robbing and committing all kinds of evil, and he has been carrying with tens of thousands of lives at stake. Before coming to Wukki, he had just blood-refined a mortal village in the wilderness. It's really abominable, Grandma, such garbage actually wants to come to Wukki to reap benefits. He is almost acting as our law enforcement team in Wukki. It doesn't exist. Xiaopinggan laughed when he heard this. He had used up a lot of his divine power recently. He was still thinking about when to find an opportunity to replenish his divine power, but he didn't expect this opportunity to come like this. Okay, let's ask Brother Du to lead the way. It just so happens that my hands are itchy recently and I'm looking for someone to perform surgery. Ha ha ha, Brother Yang is still so cheerful, Du Ming said, and in a flash, he flew into the sky, and the set of forbidden armor appeared on his body. Brother Yang, come with me. Xiaopinggan also leaped into the air, and the powerful forbidden armor was instantly attached to him. His whole body suddenly revealed the terrifying evil aura of a demigod. The two of them, one after the other, flew through the air with lightning speed, heading directly towards the southwest of Wukki. The direction flew quickly. Less than half an hour later, the two of them flew hundreds of miles and appeared in the sky above a town in the southwest of Wukki. Not far from their feet, there was a town shrouded in rain. There should be many people living there. Few people. Du Ming, who flew here, suddenly stopped in the air, and Xiaopinggan also stopped. The Blood Sea Wolf Demon that Brother Du mentioned is in the town. Yes, that garbage is in an inn in the town right now. Du Ming pointed to an ordinary inn covering an area of more than 10 acres near the lake in the town below. There are many mortals in that inn and the town. If we were here, if we start using our hands, if that garbage goes crazy, it may affect many innocent people. He can have no scruples, but we cannot turn this town into ruins. If we hesitate even a little bit, we may make it worse if we start using our hands. That guy ran away. If we evacuate the town's population, that guy will definitely be alert and alarm him instead. I wonder what Brother Yang can do. Xiaopinggan glanced at the inn from the air and suddenly smiled. It's easy. I'm the best at dealing with people like this. Brother Du, just wait here for a while. Okay, then I'll wait here. Under Du Ming's gaze, Xiaopinggan moved and flew towards the inn from the air. His whole figure was completely hidden in the air. Even Du Ming didn't know what Xiaopinggan was doing. After waiting like this for 2 or 3 minutes, Du Ming suddenly heard Xiaopinggan shouting from the inn, "Blood Sea Wolf Demon, where are you running?" As soon as this voice appeared, a bloody light penetrated the roof of a room in the inn with a bang, trying to escape into the air. But in an instant, the bloody light rushed into the sky 100 meters and was frozen. Then the next second, a huge iron fist like a mountain directly hit the body of the bloody light, directly knocking the bloody light exploded into pieces, revealing a monster with a wolf head and a human body wearing forbidden armor. The next second, Xiaopinggan had already rushed in front of the bloody light, and with his second punch, he blew off the head of the wolf-headed monster. The third punch passed through the body of the wolf-headed monster and directly blew the body of the wolf-headed monster into pieces. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1065. The aftermath of the powerful demigod's spiritual skills in the sky has not yet been exhausted. The mutilated body fragments of the blood sea wolf demon that escaped into the sky have been reduced to ashes in the rising flames. Only the blood sea wolf demon's body is the set of forbidden armor is still floating in the void. The whole process only took a few seconds, and a powerful demigod had already fallen in the sky of Wuke. So strong. Just on the lake 10,000 meters away, a beautiful light green 100-meter cruise ship was parked on the lake. On the deck of the cruise ship, two figures, an old man and a young man, dressed in black and white respectively, were watching. The body of the blood sea wolf demon was dissipating in the sky. Among them, the young man in white couldn't help but gasp slightly, his face changed color slightly, and he softly said the two words above. Just now, when the blood sea wolf demon soared into the sky, the sudden burst of fighting aura of the powerful demigod had instantly attracted the attention of the two people on the cruise ship. But what the two people on the ship did not expect was that, the entire battle lasted only 3 seconds, and everything was over. To outsiders, they saw the excitement, or they didn't even understand the excitement, but to insiders, the battle just now was shocking and had an unspeakable deterrent effect. Elder Lu, the strength of the battle groups in Wuke seems to be stronger than we thought. The one who took action is the deity Elder Yao in the battle group. The young man in white has a handsome face, long slanted eyebrows, and with a hint of elegance, he turned around and asked the old man next to him. It's not a powerful god, but a top demigod. These are the war groups in Wuke who have found an unlucky guy to show off their muscles. These days, the war groups who have flocked to Wuke and the ancient god family there are so many people, it's hard to manage them. The old man in black's eyes were like lightning, already passing through the 10,000-meter heavy rain curtain, locking on the sky in the distance. Are demigods so terrifying? The young man in white asked, slightly shocked. That person has mastered a terrifying divine skill that can lock others in the air so that they cannot move. In the eyes of a truly strong person, even a demigod can tell the difference between life and death in the blink of an eye once he is unable to move. That person's the spiritual skills of boxing are also very terrifying. They have been completely integrated with the strength of his physical body. His fighting instincts are definitely tempered in countless life and death fights. Master, remember that person's face. If you encounter him in the eternal underground palace, avoid him if you can, and never conflict with him, the old man in black said to the young man in white next to him with a solemn expression. The two people on the cruise ship were not the only ones who had just seen this battle. Many strong men within 10,000 meters nearby also saw this scene. The death and killing of a demigod strongman in the blink of an eye was shocking. Quite a few. Go ahead, this blood sea wolf demon hummed, a bad and poor piece of trash. Looking at the set of forbidden battle armor floating in the void in front of him and the tattered formation discs where the fragments of divine crystals turned into dust and melted together, Xiaopinggan was speechless for a moment, and cursed in his heart, the bad guys are not, they should all be rich. This rubbish is simply an insult to his nickname of the blood sea wolf demon. He originally thought he could get some world beads or something from this guy. Unexpectedly, this guy there's really nothing good about it. However, on top of the giant tower of the secret mandala, more than 1.7 million points of divine power had been condensed in the blink of an eye. Not only had the divine power that Xiaopinggan had consumed in purchasing the world beads in the past 2 months fully replenished, there was still a lot left over. Ha ha ha, powerful, powerful. Brother Yang makes people surprised every time he takes action. Brother Yang's divine skills really open my eyes. Du Ming laughed and flew over. With a wave of his hand, He put away the magic weapon floating in the void. The taboo armor I want to take this armor back to life. Even if I take advantage of Brother Yang again this time, please don't worry, Brother Yang, I won't take advantage of it in vain. Can we go have a drink now? Xiaopinggan asked with a smile. Of course, Du Ming said, glancing around, feeling very satisfied. The deterrent effect this time was better than he expected. He originally thought it would take two people to settle the matter, but he didn't expect Xiaopinggan to do it so neatly. The battle was completed. It was truly astonishing. Just like that, all the people within 10,000 meters around. After a few breaths, it suddenly calmed down a lot. It is estimated that soon, all the snobbery coming to Wuke will know about it. Brother Yang, please come with me. Du Ming flew directly in the direction of Wuke. Night gradually fell, and just above the central area of Wuke, a golden flying boat was floating in the sky. Inside the flying boat, Xiaopinggan and Du Ming had already had 3 drinks. The rain in the sky has not stopped, shrouding Wuke in layers of twilight gauze. The entire Wuke is dark and the sky is full of fog. However, at the bottom of the lake in the central area of Wuke, at this time, it gradually changes from pitch black to dark. The light lit up, and streaks of red, orange, yellow, green, and purple lights were swaying like dragons on the bottom of the lake with a radius of dozens of square kilometers, making the originally ordinary lake water look like a crystal palace, and there were treasure lights coming from it. The bottom of the lake shines through, illuminating the dark clouds in the sky, making the clouds colorful and visible hundreds of kilometers away. It also illuminates the airships and strange-shaped flying palaces in the nearby sky. Extremely clear. This water is the entrance to the Wuke Eternal Palace. Whenever this colorful light appears in the water, it means that the entrance to the underwater Eternal Palace is about to open. This has been the case for countless years. The previous one there was just a hint that the underground palace under Wuke was about to open, and not many people knew about it. But in the past 2 months, as the light shining at the bottom of the lake became more and more dazzling every night, people from all directions knew about it, and they came one after another. The flying boats and flying palaces in the sky all represent a certain force. This eternal underground palace is said to be one of the relics of the ancient gods in ancient times. Someone once obtained the fountain of eternal life inside, so every time the eternal underground palace is about to open, it will attract people from all walks of life. Du Ming held the wine glass, squinted his eyes, and looked at the treasure-filled lake bottom under the flying boat. He calmly said, "An amazing news, many people have come this time. As of yesterday, 76 people have come to Wuke. There are 29 war groups and 29 ancient god blood families. Yesterday, the heads of these war groups and families have discussed with several war groups in Wuke. This time, the Eternal Underground Palace will open a meeting between the war groups and the ancient god blood families. If we work together to clear the place, ordinary loose gods and wanderers with no background or origins will be blocked from the entrance to the ancient god's underground palace, and will not be eligible to enter." Xiaopinggan, who was drinking, stopped when he heard the news, frowned slightly, and looked at Du Ming in surprise. "Don't be so surprised. Fewer people have entered the underground palace. Those who enter will naturally have a greater chance of getting treasures. At this time, it is about the jungle and the strong. Whoever has the bigger fist has the final say. The war groups and the ancient god blood families, if we join forces, other people will basically have no chance to enter. They are just watching the fun, and anyone who dares to be dissatisfied will be beaten to death," Du Ming said, and with a move of his hand, he took out a piece of black. He handed the token to Xiaopinggan. "This is the reward token jointly issued by several battle groups in Wuke. This token commends those who have contributed to Wuke. If you kill the Blood Sea Wolf demon today, you can get one, and with this token, you can enter the Eternal Underground Palace." At this point, Du Ming cursed in a low voice and scratched his head. "Grandma, this token is not easy to get now. There are many people staring at it. It is not something that can be solved with just a few words. There is no way. I can only find an opportunity for you to take action once today, otherwise it will be difficult for me to explain. I know that trash will not be your opponent. It wasn't until this moment that Xiaoping'an understood why this guy Du Ming came to see him specifically today. Needless to say, we are friends enough. Xiaoping'an put away the token and nodded, thanks. No thanks, why are you and I so polite? I'll go too when the time comes, and we two brothers will see if we can make another fortune in the underground palace. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1066. After having a drink with Du Ming, it was already late at night. Xiaoping'an said goodbye to Du Ming and returned directly to his cave on Tianyi Island. Xiaoping'an had just landed at the entrance of the cave and put away the taboo armor on his body, when a voice rang in his ears. This friend invited me. We all live on this island. If this friend doesn't mind, you might as well come over and have a drink. Let's make friends. The sound came from a pavilion high on Tianyi Island more than 200 meters away. At this moment, the pavilion was brightly lit, and two people were drinking in the pavilion. One of the two people looked to be in his 30s, and he was smiling. Yingying has a graceful demeanor, and the other one is slightly fat and has a kind face. He looks like a shopkeeper doing business. These two people are the new tenants who moved in from the other two caves in Tianyi Island during this period. Xiaoping'an is just I have met them once or twice, but I have never interacted with them. The person who called Xiaoping'an was the handsome man in his 30s. Ha ha ha, it's rare that we are all residents of this island, and we are destined to come thousands of miles to meet each other. This brother Gu and I have just met. Why don't this brother come over and talk about it? In 2 days, the door of the Eternal Underground Palace will be opened. How about we all join forces to go in and have some fun? The fat guy also raised his glass and invited. The atmosphere seemed pretty good, and everyone else was enthusiastic and inviting. Thank you two friends for your kindness. I'm used to walking alone, so I won't disturb your enjoyment, Xiaoping'an just replied to the two of them calmly, without saying anything else, and directly opened the door of the cave. Entering the cave, he acted completely aloof. Those two may also have good intentions and enthusiasm. However, for Lao Jianghu, this kind of temporary team formation is full of hidden dangers. They may turn against each other for profit at any time. Maybe they are being sold without even knowing it. Moreover, the two people said they just met. What if these two people just met? It's just a game, others are sharpening their knives and waiting for the fat sheep to come to the door. Moreover, these two people seem to be from the Sanshan clan. According to Du Ming, this time the underground palace is opened. These demigods with no background can only be onlookers at most and have no chance to enter the underground palace, so Xiaoping'an and I am too lazy to get along with such a stranger. Entering the cave, Xiaoping'an checked the restriction he placed at the entrance of the cave and found that no one had come in after he left. He placed a formation disc at the entrance of the cave to protect the cave, and then came to the secret room. After placing another protective array plate and taking some necessary measures, I took out the world bead I got today and prepared to fuse it. On this day, Island B is the territory of the Wind Furnace chapter. People from outside do not dare to smash the Wind Furnace chapter's signboard and force their way in. The cave itself has a protective array, but Xiaoping'an is still prepared to deal with all possibilities. I wonder what this great change will bring. Looking at the newly obtained Heyi world bead in his hand, Xiaoping'an was also looking forward to it. Once the world bead is successfully fused, his divine power it should be more than 30,000 points. Xiaoping'an doesn't know how long it will take for him to fuse the world beads this time, because once the upper limit of the secret mandala's divine power exceeds the 30,000 point mark, the secret mandala will usher in a huge change. The time of this huge change may be a day or even several days. Different demigods will get different benefits from this huge change in the secret mandala. The most common big change in the secret mandala is to increase the upper limit of divine power. For example, the upper limit of divine power was 30,000 points before. It can reach 35,000 points, or 40,000 points, or even directly double the upper limit of divine power. A sudden increase in the upper limit of divine power is the most beneficial for summoners. In addition to the sudden increase in the upper limit of divine power, some secret mandala will have some special and rare mandala buildings added after this great change. These mandala buildings will give the summoner different abilities. Others are that the area of the secret mandala will increase, or the abilities of the summoned objects in the mandala will be improved, strengthened, or even mutated after the great changes. All in all, the great changes brought about by the 30,000 point divine power mark in this secret mandala are all kinds of strange and different, which is also the core secret of the summoner. A drop of blood was forced out from the fingertips and blended into the He world bead. In just the blink of an eye, Xiaopingan was surrounded by a cocoon of light, and the whole person entered the world of the world bead. Others don't know. Why is this He famous in history? Xiaopingan knows very well that this world bead is actually very easy to fuse. Those who cannot fuse with this world bead just didn't expect He to be able to do such a thing. Xiaopingan opened his eyes and found himself sitting in the county government office, holding an official document in his hand. A man who looked like a master was standing next to him in a formal manner, with a hint of excitement on his face. Without looking, he knew that the era he was living in was the Tang dynasty, and his location was Yuchang County, Sichuan. His identity was He Yi, the magistrate of Yuchang County. At this moment, the spring light outside the window is bright, the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. It is the season of spring plowing. The official document in hand was issued by the governor's office of Lizhu. The official document stated that Kui Pu, the governor of Lizhu, would take a boat to Yuchang to visit the scenery in 3 days, and asked the Yuchang County magistrate to recruit civilian men to serve as governors at the junction of Yizhu and Miangwu. Drawing. Sir, it is rare for the governor to come to Yuchang to visit. This time, Your Excellency just seizes this opportunity to show off in front of the governor. We must let the governor have a good time and enjoy himself. In addition to preparing the civilian husband, we can also prepare some Yizhu specialties, and food are placed along the way of the governor's tour for the governor's needs. You can also meet the governor while the things are being sent to the boat. The master next to him said excitedly, and the officials went up and down. This is the routine when superiors receive their superiors, and county magistrates receive governors. They must be thoughtful and meticulous, and make no mistakes. This is a major event in local officialdom. A good reception will make the superior feel comfortable and leave a good impression on him. Anyone who knows the benefits understands it. Xiaopingan shook his head. There is no need to recruit civilian men. I will deal with it myself in 3 days. Ah! The master was dumbfounded for a moment. If you don't recruit civilian husbands, what are you going to do? The official document from the governor's office has made it very clear. You need civilian men to do the slimming, and you are going to deal with it alone. This is preparing to. It would be too bold for the governor to leave the boat alone and say, Sir, I have made up my mind, just follow my instructions. Yes, master could only nod. 3 days later, Kui Pu, the governor, and several friends sat on a boat and came along the Jialing River. They drank, played the piano, composed poems, and enjoyed the spring along the way. They were so happy. The boat went all morning, and by noon, the boat was already there. Arriving at Hibajan, the boat stopped for a while, and the trackers from Miangwu outside were changing shifts with the trackers from Yuchang. Kui Pu, who was sitting on the boat at first, didn't notice anything unusual. It was only after a moment that he suddenly discovered why the boat didn't move away and was moving backwards little by little. All the guests in the cabin looked at each other. Kuipu also felt strange, so he walked out of the cabin with the guests on the boat and came to the bow of the boat. He found that there was only a man in short clothes on the shore who was trying to stretch his hair. No wonder the boat didn't leave. Back away. What's going on? Where did the men who were doing the body stretching go? Kuipu asked the men on the boat strangely. The subordinate was speechless. Sir, we have just arrived in Yuchang County. The previous workers who pulled the fibers have already changed their shifts. This Yuchang only sent one worker to pull the fibers for you. Upon hearing this, Kuipu's face suddenly darkened as he felt that he had suddenly lost face in front of his friends. What's going on? What the hell, didn't the governor's office send an official document to Yuchang County? Doesn't Yuchang County know I'm coming? Why did only one civilian husband be sent here to stretch? Sir, the official document from the governor's office was sent to Yuchang County 3 days ago. I don't know why Yuchang County only sent one civilian husband here. Stop the boat and call the civilian husband over. I want to ask myself why he can't even do this. Kuipu said, suppressing his anger. After a while, the boat stopped at the shore, and the man who was pulling hair on the shore had already walked over. Kuipu was originally full of will-o'-the-wisps, but when he saw the man pulling men's clothes, he was shocked. The man was none other than Yuchang. How easy is it for a county magistrate? At this moment, that is, Xiaoping'an, had changed into short clothes, exposed his chest, and was sweating profusely. He was no different from a commoner who was stretching. Master what are you doing? Kuipu asked in surprise. Why are you here to stretch? Xiaoping'an smiled apologetically. Please forgive me, sir. It's rare for you to come to Yuchang for sightseeing. Originally, someone should be sent to pull fiber for you, but it is spring plowing at this moment and everyone in the county is busy. Even the cattle and horses have come to the fields. The men are busy farming and the women are busy raising silkworms. I am the only idle person in the entire county government, so I am the only one. I'm here to give you a slimming treatment, sir. Even an emperor would not dare to do such a thing, let alone a governor. When Kuipu heard this, he felt that the hairs on his neck stood up. He dared to sit on the boat, but he couldn't blame Xiaoping'an. He could only get off the boat with the guests with an embarrassed look, got on his horse, and left Kuipu's place quickly. The world will be shattered as soon as the boundary pearl is gone. The secret mandala has added a new upper limit of 36 points of divine power, officially reaching 30,010 points. At the moment when the upper limit of the mandala's divine power was exceeded, Xiaoping'an's entire secret mandala began to shake violently, and the entire Lingxiao city was shrouded in a rainbow-colored halo. In addition to the great changes in the secret mandala, the blood of Xiaoping'an's body of the god also emitted streaks of golden light intertwined with the light of the secret mandala, especially the heart of the ancient god in his chest at this moment. Suddenly waking up, the endless sea of blood in the heart of the ancient god began to boil. The entire sea of blood floated in the void. Countless golden secret symbols rose from the sea of blood and entered Xiaoping'an's body. In the secret mandala, resonate with the secret mandala. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1067. The great changes in Xiaoping'an's body and secret mandala lasted for 7 days. During these 7 days, Xiaoping'an's whole person seemed to have entered a state of hibernation. He had completely lost the feeling of his body, and only a trace of spiritual consciousness was floating in the void. I can just slightly feel that my secret mandala and body are undergoing wonderful changes. The first change was that the 2 last remaining divine talismans in Xiaoping'an's fused ancient god's heart were completely dissolved and merged into one with him. At this point, the number of divine skills that Xiaopingyan had mastered suddenly increased. Reaching 9, the 9 divine talismans he had obtained in the Sutra collection hall have now been integrated. Then, he felt that the sea of blood and the secret mandala in his heart of the ancient god seemed to have some kind of wonderful reaction. The blood of the ancient god surging in the sea of blood was being absorbed by the secret mandala, and then followed the ancient god's movement. His heart beat vigorously, and more blood of the ancient gods appeared in the sea of blood. In the end, Xiaopingyan felt that his entire spiritual consciousness, body, and divine power were completely condensed together and became inseparable, just like the state of chaos in the universe. In this chaos, a little flame suddenly appeared to bring light, bringing all kinds of yin and yang. Change, then the heaven and earth opened, all things became clear, and all things were born out of chaos. His spiritual consciousness is still spiritual consciousness, his body is still his body, and his divine power is still divine power, but it is completely different from before, just like iron ore has been smelted again. The residue fades away and turns into steel. When his consciousness completely returned to Xiaopingyan, he found that he was looking down at everything in the secret mandala from a god's perspective. After undergoing great changes, the area of Lingxiao city has expanded several times again, turning into a magnificent and majestic city. In the middle of Lingxiao city is the Mandala temple. The temple has also completely changed. It is a majestic palace made of gold and silver. The temples in the sky above, a huge golden palace floating in the void appeared. On the golden palace, there were a total of 108 steps. At the top of the steps, there was a shaitan altar. On the altar was burning a wisp of various colors that were constantly changing. A mysterious flame of this color, that flame is full of sacred and powerful aura and can make all living things worship it. And around this temple, which is the central area of Lingxiao city, a huge sea of blood appeared. The blood sea, with the powerful aura of the ancient gods and unspeakable vitality, surrounded the entire temple, leaving only 4 arched bridges leading to the 4 directions in Lingxiao city. The divine power nebula that originally appeared in the caisson of the temple has now shrouded the entire temple. The huge divine power nebula contains a full 161,792 points of divine power. The golden mountain of words that was originally in the temple now appeared in the sky above Lingxiao city, shrouded in clouds and mist, completely integrated with the cultivation hall. The cultivation hall became the highest building on the mountain of words, and in this mountain of golden writing, there are wonderful golden writings and mysterious and deep caves and canyons everywhere. It seems that there are endless mysteries hidden in them. Each golden writing is shining brightly. In the mountain of golden writing, there is only one straight line like the path of the ladder leads to the ground. The secret mandala has been turned upside down. Everything has undergone tremendous changes, except for the giant tower of the divine prison that seems to have not changed at all. But at this moment, Xiaopingyan looked at the giant tower, and his heart was even more awed, because he could feel more clearly that the giant tower of the divine prison in it, there was condensed a magnificent power beyond his imagination. That power transcended everything. 3 days later, Xiaopingyan opened his eyes in the secret room. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw several swaying golden lotus flowers growing on the stone floor of the secret room. The stems of the golden lotus flowers were like it penetrated the hard stone slab underground, like it penetrated the water surface, broke out of the stone, and emitted bursts of refreshing fragrance that enveloped the entire secret room. Seeing the golden lotus in the secret room, Xiaopingyan was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that he could see such a wonder. Is this the golden lotus emerging from the earth? Only a handful of powerful demigods will be born by induction when the first ray of divine fire is lit. This treasure is bestowed by heaven and earth. Legend has it that this golden lotus will have incomparable miraculous power to purify all filth and bring peace to the world. Prehistoric alien species. Xiaopingyan muttered to himself. Yes, at this moment, he has ignited the first ray of divine fire and advanced to the first level of God. His overall strength has once again crossed a huge step, and he has officially taken the most powerful step towards the realm of gods. The entire realm of demigods was once again left behind. This golden lotus is more precious than the 100-knot dragon grass. Of course it is not. Possibly staying here, Xiaoping'an put away the formation disc covering the secret room. With a wave of his hand, the golden lotus on the ground, together with the huge stones on the ground, suddenly floated from the ground, and some of the stones underneath were also exposed. The golden lotus root was then sent by Xiaoping'an to a palace in the secret mandala temple. As soon as he waved his hand again, all the walls and floors around the secret room were silently shattered, revealing a protective layer of metal rock steel more than 2 meters deep under the floor of the secret room. There was no trace of the golden lotus growing out of the ground. It is common for the floors of these secret chambers to be damaged, so you just need to pay some money. 161,792 points of divine power. This is the upper limit of my divine power in the secret mandala at this moment. This upper limit of divine power includes the monthly 71,792 points of divine power reward that I previously obtained in the God of War arena. At the same time, my previous upper limit of 30,010 points of divine power has been tripled to 90,030 points. Xiaoping'an took a slight breath of air. He knew that the upper limit of the secret mandala's divine power would increase sharply when some powerful demigods passed this level. But what he didn't expect was that the upper limit of his secret mandala's divine power would actually double. In addition, the power of the body of the gods and the heart of the ancient gods in this body seemed to be stimulated. Xiaoping'an forced out a drop of blood from his fingertips, and the drop of blood floated in front of Xiaoping'an's eyes. Like a drop of water reflecting sunlight, it has a special flame. The blood seems to have a rainbow-like color, which is close to the blood of a god. But the biggest change was within the secret mandala. Xiaoping'an looked at the sea of blood around the mandala temple. With a thought, the boy Fuxian who had been wandering in the mandala suddenly appeared in the sea of blood like lightning. On top of it, he suddenly dived into the sea of blood. The next second, the glowing god of fortune boy emerged from the sea of blood, as if he had undergone a sacred baptism. When Xiaoping'an thought about it again, the god of fortune boy had been summoned by Xiaoping'an and appeared in the underground secret army of this spiritual wilderness secret realm. The body of the god of fortune boy is still illusory and can only be seen by Xiaoping'an. However, the boy god of fortune who could not be summoned to appear in the secret realm of the spirit wilderness before because there was no tree of life, has been baptized by the sea of blood and has the ability to appear. The ability to subdue this world. Xiaoping'an's thoughts moved again, and Xuanhuan who was guarding the temple also crawled into the sea of blood. A moment later, Xuanhuan climbed out of the sea of blood, and his whole body was also shining with a strange brilliance. Then, he already had Xuanhuan in his real body was summoned by Xiaoping'an and appeared in the secret room with a domineering air. That sea of blood can replace the power of the tree of life, giving the summoned object a real body to appear in the secret realm of the spirit wilderness. That sea of blood is the sea of life transformed from the heart of the ancient god. Xiaoping'an was shocked. Xiaoping'an let a group of Templars enter the sea of life. In the blink of an eye, he summoned the group of Templars who had been baptized by the sea of life into the secret room. The Templars who appeared in the secret room, it seems that it is no different from a real person. Compared with before, there seems to be some changes in abilities. The body looks more majestic and powerful, and the temperament has become deeper. This seems to be, really creating something. Then, before Xiaoping'an could react, Kui Hao, who was already in the secret mandala, rushed into the sea of life and plunged into the sea of blood. After a moment, Kui Hao emerged from the sea of life. Walking out of the sea, he bowed to Xiaoping'an and said happily, "Thank you Lord for giving me the real body." After half an hour, Xiaoping'an walked out of his cave and found that there were many things in the sky. The figure wearing the forbidden armor was flying towards the eternal underground palace. Something seemed to be happening there. After a while, Xiaopinggan understood the whole story. In the past 7 days, Wuki had suddenly become more lively and noisy, because the battle groups in Wuki and the ancient god blood descendants family had officially moved the location of the eternal underground palace this morning. The area was sealed with a large formation. This action caused many strong demigods who rushed to Wuki after hearing the news but had no background to become restless. The god of fortune also followed Xiaopinggan and jumped out of the cave. The next second, the god of fortune disappeared from Xiaopinggan's shoulders and appeared on a flying boat in the sky of Wuki. There were several people on the flying boat. A strong demigod with an unfamiliar face, but the god of fortune boy told Xiaopinggan that those people were Mingli Yonghui and his party who had left Wuki before. As expected, Mingli Yonghui came back with a different face. At this moment, countless powerful demigods swarmed from the city into the airspace near the Eternal Life Underground Palace, which was blocked by the formation. There was a lot of noise and excitement. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1068. The place where Xiaopinggan and Du Ming drank 7 days ago has completely changed now. On the lake of Wuki, in an area of almost 10 kilometers in radius, 4 city walls made entirely of turquoise water rise from the lake, forming the appearance of a city in the water. There are countless runes in the city walls made of water. It flows inside and sparkles in the sun. The outermost ring of the city wall is made up of hundreds of thousands of water shields, floating in the air and slowly rotating, just like the gravel belt in the orbit of Saturn, densely packed. Behind these water shields, there is a second layer composed of hundreds of thousands of swords made of water, which is extremely strict. And in the void a little further inside, there are also hundreds of thousands of fish, shrimps, snakes, turtles, and various water monsters composed entirely of water, swimming slowly around the city in the lake. The periphery of the water city in the lake was so tightly wrapped by all kinds of things made entirely of water that not even a fly could fly in. On the walls of that water city, there are also countless humanoid soldiers who are completely condensed from water, guarding them. In the sky of this large formation, there are tens of thousands of people gathered at this moment, which seems to be huge. Many people transform into various birds and fly in the sky, and there are also various flying magic tools and props gathered here. The noise could be heard miles away. Among the tens of thousands of people, there were probably less than 1,000 true demigod-level experts. Each one of them was wearing forbidden armor, with livid faces and angry expressions on their faces. The other people in the sky were all generals or king-level summoners or other practitioners from the spiritual wilderness secret realm who came here to watch the excitement. You war groups and ancient god blood descendants are too overbearing. Why did you seal the eternal palace with a large formation to prevent us from entering? This eternal underground palace has never belonged to anyone. A man wearing a dark green taboo armor, the bearded summoner, asked loudly. That's right, when the eternal underground palace was opened in the past, other people could enter. Why are we not allowed in now? We have traveled thousands of miles to get here. Are we not even qualified to enter the underground palace of eternal life? Do you war groups and ancient god blood families want to be enemies with all of us? Don't be afraid, just rush forward. There are also people hidden in the crowd who use secret methods to change their voices and make their voices sound, appearing in all directions, clamoring for those in front to attack the water formation in the lake. Under the noise of this erratic voice, some people really couldn't help but follow the surging crowd and wanted to rush towards the water formation in the lake. Suddenly, a golden arrow suddenly appeared in the sky like thunder. With terrifying power, it shot into the crowd and directly hit a short demigod wearing a mask who was hiding behind the crowd. The strong man's chest was pierced, causing the body of the demigod strong man to burn with golden flames, and then his body exploded into pieces and turned into ashes in the sky. Killed. The people around were horrified, and together with the various birds and magic weapons flying in the sky, They quickly retreated for thousands of meters in panic. The previous noisy voices were like chickens being pinched by the neck at this moment. Duck can no longer quack. The divine skill breaks the sky with an arrow. This is the unique skill of Elder Lu Rufeng of the Dufeng chapter. The god has taken action. The two words Shenzhen were like a cold wind blowing into the sky of Wuke, and all of a sudden everyone in the sky was silent. Above the water formation in the lake, a figure slowly revealed his figure from the transparent state in the rising water vapor. It was an old man, wearing a black taboo armor. People outside could only see his head. The silver hair and silver beard were used to deduce his age. The old man's face was wearing an expressionless black mask. There was a pale golden halo behind his head that represented the powerful god. He was holding a golden light flashing in his hand. The light and shadow of the long bow, and the aura on his body were as chilling as an iceberg. A guy like this dares to hide in the crowd and encourage others to attack the formation. Do you really think that the major battle groups are vegetarians? Elder Lu Rufeng scanned the noisy crowd in the surrounding sky with disdainful and sharp eyes. The powerful divine aura on his body squeezed everyone's perceptions like a mountain. Wherever his eyes swept, almost no one dared to look at him. The elder sneered. In order to wipe out the water monsters in the 5 ponds and the water demon lord guarding the eternal underground palace, all the battle groups in the 5 ponds paid a huge price. Without us, there would be no eternal underground palace that can be opened. Who among you has the ability? Kill the demon lord and enter the eternal underground palace? Do you really think that all this is for nothing? After eating for free twice, do you think that others will give you free food forever? Of course we are qualified and capable to block it with a large formation. The eternal underground palace, this secret realm of the spiritual wasteland, is originally a place where the weak and the strong prey on each other. Whoever has the bigger fist is the boss. If you are dissatisfied and want to be freeloaders, just come and fight. The crowd was silent. The fierce momentum just now has become like this after the powerful god took action and saw blood. Ice and snow melt away like fire. Lu Rufeng was telling the truth. The rules of this spiritual wilderness were originally formulated by strong people, and others also had the ability to formulate rules. Any clamor and dissatisfaction in the face of strength is just a pitiful joke. Elder Lu, calm down, and these juniors. The light and shadow around Lu Rufeng flashed, and another person appeared. This new person appeared. He looked like a middle-aged fat man with a smile. He was not wearing a forbidden armor. But there is a huge turtle floating in the void under his feet, and there is a halo behind his head that represents the strength of the god, which is also awe-inspiring. Elder Fu of the Earth Dragon chapter. There was an exclamation from the crowd of onlookers, and someone had already recognized this person's identity. Hey, we actually don't want to use the knife. We are going to kill each other. Is there anything we can discuss carefully? Elder Fu of the Dragon of the Earth chapter looked at the crowd around him and sighed, still pretending. He wiped his tears and said, it's just that the guy who was just killed by Elder Lu was too despicable and insidious, and his heart was to be punished. He hid in the crowd and encouraged others to attack the formation, but he didn't dare to come forward. Just now if you are really deceived and attack the formation, more than one person will die. Don't you think it's right? It's better to let such a bad guy die first than to let you die first, right? The words of Elder Fu of the Dragon of the Earth made many people in the surrounding sky look at each other. It seems to be the truth. Those who were filled with indignation just now, thinking about it carefully, also feel that the guy who was killed he deserved it, but Lu Rufeng's divine skill sky-breaking arrow was simply too terrifying for a strong demigod. An ordinary strong demigod would be shot dead without even being able to block a single blow. Ahem, what Elder Lu just said is a bit straightforward, but the truth is this. You can put yourself in their shoes and think about it. At the beginning, our battle groups were trying to clear out the big and small monsters in the 5 ponds, but brothers who have sacrificed a lot, it is unreasonable for you to come and enjoy the fruits of our blood and sweat for nothing today. Elder Fu of the Dragon of the Earth chapter is completely different from Elder Lu. Elder Lu is full of murderous intent. This person plays the role of a good guy and is doing ideological work for a group of people with sincerity and sincerity. Of course, our big groups are not going to completely block everyone's way into the eternal underground palace. We won't do things so absolutely. If you want to enter the eternal underground palace, you have to take something out and pay a price. Think about what contribution you can make to our waka. If you have no contribution, our major groups are now recruiting strong people to join. As long as you join our major groups and we pass the examination, you will also have the opportunity to enter the eternal underground palace. If you have neither made any contribution to waka nor want to join several war groups, but you still want to enjoy the fruits of our war group's hard work, I'm afraid this is a bit difficult. It doesn't make sense to travel all over the world. This time, the people around him were completely silent. Elder Fu, apart from the two methods you just mentioned, are there any other ways for us to enter the eternal underground palace? Someone in the crowd asked loudly and truthfully. Of course there are other ways. As I said, we won't do everything right, we will always leave a way for everyone. Elder Fu smiled like a business manager. As long as we take out 3 million points of divine crystals, Oregon, the 3 secret treasures of the gods can make up for the losses of several of our battle groups, and we can enter the eternal underground palace. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1069. What a Dragon Palace and 10,000 Waters Transformation Formation. Xiaoping'an flew in from a distance and saw the large formation running on the 5 elements pond and the city made of water. He secretly admired it in his heart. From his perspective, this formation was arranged in an extremely sophisticated way. The advantages of the 5 elements pond at the right time and place are fully brought into play. Under the nourishment of the water energy of the 5 elements pond, if this large array is not put away, it can continue to operate and biochemically. Ordinary demigods can enter rashly. Among them, even if you don't die, you still have to shed several layers of skin. Then, Xiaoping'an heard the words of Elder Fu from the Dragon of the Earth chapter, saying that he could enter the palace as long as he spent 3 million points of divine crystals. Although he was not at the scene just now, he had a clear view of everything that happened at the scene, because the god of fortune boy had already come over, and the flying boat of the Minglu family was just in front of him in the sky outside the crowd at 3 o'clock. Xiaoping'an also saw Du Mingde. Just above the water city of the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters Transformation Formation, there were still some people from various battle groups in the 5 ponds stationed there, and Du Deming was among them. At this moment, Xiaoping'an, the divine halo behind his head had been covered by his secret method, and he looked no different from before in the demigod realm. Brother Du, I'm here. After flying to the outside of the crowd, Xiaoping'an directly sent a message to Du Mingde. As soon as he heard Xiaoping'an's voice, Du Mingde immediately looked in the direction of Xiaoping'an, with a relieved smile on his face. Brother Yang, why are you here? Du Mingde asked via voice transmission. I'm sorry, I've been practicing and preparing in the cave these past few days, and I've been cut off from news from the outside, Xiaoping'an responded. Am I too late? It's not too late. The entrance to the Eternal Life Underground Palace has not been fully opened yet, but it will be soon. Brother Yang, take out the token I gave you and let the 2 elders above see it. Just fly over. Good. The 2 chatted for a few words in the air. Xiaoping'an had already passed through the crowd of onlookers and rushed to the front of the crowd. Just when a group of people suddenly focused their eyes on him, thinking that there was someone who was not afraid of death and dared to look at him. When the 2 powerful gods rushed forward, the eyes of Elder Lu and Elder Fu also fell on Xiaoping'an. Xiaopinggan directly took out the token that Du Mingde gave him and held it in his hand. Then he calmly flew towards the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters transformation formation. Ha ha ha, have you seen that our various battle groups in Wukka did not deny you the opportunity to enter the Eternal Palace? This friend is also from the Sanshan clan, because he helped Wukka kill the infamous Blood Sea before. The wolf demon has made contributions to Wukka and has merit, so he has been recognized by the major battle groups in Wukka, so he can enter the Eternal Palace with the token. Elder Fu's mouth was like a light. Likewise, when he saw the token in Xiaopinggan's hand, a friendly smile immediately appeared on his face, and then he said a lot of words. Xiaopinggan came at just the right time, and it was as if he had acknowledged the rules just established by several war groups. Anyway, it was impossible to enter the Eternal Palace without paying any price. At this moment, the tacit understanding among the onlookers was suddenly broken. Some people were still hesitating and struggling, but some people couldn't bear it when they saw that Xiaopinggan was almost rushing to the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters transformation formation. He jumped out. 3 million points of divine crystals are 3 million points of divine crystals. If I can take out this divine crystal, it will be used as a ticket. Grandma, I will go to the Eternal Palace to have a look among the crowd of onlookers. And immediately a fat guy jumped out and flew towards the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters transformation formation. Elder Lu and Elder Fu glanced at each other and exchanged glances. Elder Lu waved his hand, and immediately a strong demigod from the war group flew up to collect the ticket money. The guy who flew out was also very happy. After saying a few words, he waved his hand, and a large piece of divine crystal shining with divine power appeared in the sky. It was directly handed over to the hands of the battle group, and then followed Xiaopinggan and flew down. I just forgot to mention that we have only opened 50 places for candidates who can enter the Eternal Underground Palace with 3 million points of divine crystals. Once the 50 are filled, it will be impossible for the next 3 million points of divine crystals to be used. Entered, Elder Fu immediately said quietly again, this quota is first come, first served. Original. Those onlookers were already a little shaken when they saw that Xiaopinggan was able to enter. Now that they saw someone paying money and entering, they were even more shaken. Some people had struggling looks on their faces. 3 million points of divine crystals, it is really not a small amount, and it is also a considerable amount of wealth for the powerful demigods. It is estimated that less than 1/10 of the powerful demigods in the spiritual wilderness can take out so many divine crystals at once. Some people were a little sore before and were reluctant to take out so many divine crystals, but now they become hesitant when they see someone being the first to eat crabs. 3 million points of divine crystals are 3 million points of divine crystals. If I miss this opportunity, I really don't know if there will be such an opportunity next time. Several more demigods flew from the surroundings and expressed their willingness. Pay the divine crystal to enter the Eternal Palace. In the blink of an eye, the line of the demigods who were still watching were directly disintegrated. At this time, those who dare to cause trouble will definitely be killed by the elders who are sitting here. They want to leave but are unwilling to do so. Just compromise. Elder Fu, are there any conditions for joining the various battle groups in Wukka now? Someone else asked loudly. Ha ha ha, Brother Yang, it seems that you have been well prepared these days and you look good. Du Mingde, who saw Xiaopinggan flying over, smiled and flew over. He looked Xiaopinggan up and down and found nothing unusual. Thanks to Brother Du, I can enter the underground palace this time. Let's go, I'll take you in directly. Don't leave me more than 7 meters away. I have the pass talisman for the formation, just follow me, Du Mingde said, already flying towards the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters transformation formation below. Xiaopinggan followed him and flew towards the formation. The pass mark of this formation is like the key of the formation and the identification of friend or foe. Du Mingde flies in front and Xiaopinggan follows. When they enter the attack range of the formation, those Yu Shui who are wandering around the periphery of the formation, the thousands of swords, shields, and water beasts that were transformed automatically avoided Du Mingde and Xiaoping'an. As soon as the two flew past, the swords, shields, and water beasts automatically returned to their previous appearance in the air. Fly and swim. It seems that there are still many flaws in the array equipment of this array. The power of wood, which is transformed from water, has not been fully stimulated and used. If it is you, it is best to use the power of wood to enter this array inside and outside the array. Connecting a Duan Sheng bridge to identify the passage talisman formation will have fewer flaws, and the attack and defense power will be stronger than now. Xiaoping'an, who entered the formation, looked at it with the eyes of a formation master and immediately felt that there were actually many areas for improvement in this formation. The two of them entered the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters Transformation Formation, that is, the Water City, passed through a huge water barrier, and soon came to the core of the city. At the core, there was a huge 1,000 meters tall. The vortex was rotating, and the depth of the vortex was bottomless, leading to the depths of the Five Elements pond. The two of them flew down along the center of the huge vortex, towards the depths of the Five Elements pond. The waters around this underwater vortex are the walls of the water city and the area covered by the formation, making it impossible for people to enter from underwater. The two of them arrived at the bottom of the whirlpool in a moment. Here, they were thousands of meters deep underground in Wuke. The surrounding waters were pitch black. Only the water here was flashing with colorful brilliance, 100 meters. The entrance to the space, which is more than 1 meter high, is looming under the water. There were already hundreds of people waiting around the entrance of that space, all of them looking at the entrance of the space eagerly. The people gathered here include demigods and gods from several battle groups in Wuke, but more of them are actually representatives from outside battle groups and ancient god blood families who have heard about it these days. This is the entrance to the underground palace. It is almost stable. Once the entrance is completely stable, we can go in. Du Mingde sent a message to Xiaoping'an and then quietly pulled Xiaoping'an to the back of the teams in Wuke. Xiaoping'an nodded lightly. Du Mingde, where did you get another person? Isn't it because you are doing favoritism for yourself? You got all kinds of cats and dogs here. Suddenly, a voice penetrated into Xiaoping'an's ears. Yes, get in, this is a voice transmission, and it is only transmitted to Xiaoping'an and Du Mingde, so that only two people can hear it. This is the most obvious provocation and troublemaking. Xiaoping'an followed the sound and saw a person with a pale face among the crowd in front of them. The pink-red man with a slightly devilish eye turned his head and looked at him and Du Mingde with a sneer. Xuanhuan, your mouth is still only capable of spitting feces. If you have the ability, get someone in and see if the elders guarding the formation outside will give you the face of a dead demon. Du Mingde immediately counterattacked. The rules of Wuke are that the grievances in the underground palace should not be brought out of the underground palace. The man's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he glanced at Xiaoping'an. I hope you live well and don't die before I find you in the underground palace. You are mine. Yes, I am your father, be a good boy, Du Mingde scolded him back with a smile. Golden Summoner. Author, Zyu. Chapter 1070. My father is the one who chopped it up with my own hands. It's your turn next. Seeing that he couldn't take advantage of his words, Xuanhuan's eyes flashed with cold light, and a cruel smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I hope you can still be so arrogant after entering the eternal underground palace, huh? After saying this, Xuanhuan turned his head and ignored Du Mingde. Who is this guy named Xuanhuan? He doesn't seem to be dealing with you. Xiaoping'an glanced at the man named Xuanhuan and directly asked Du Mingde through a message. At first glance, this guy named Xuanhuan is not ordinary. He is a character with a temperament as gloomy as a will-o'-the-wisp, cruel and ruthless, and he can hold back his anger. He just said that he personally killed his father. Xiaoping'an felt that this guy didn't seem to be lying. This dead demon doesn't seem to be against me, but is on the same level as me. He wants to cut me into hundreds of pieces, and I want to remove this thorn in my heart. Anyway, either he dies or I live. Du Ming smacked his lips. Directly messaged Xiaopingan. He is also from the Wukka battle group, right? Yes, this dead man monster is from the White Bones chapter. I had a grudge against him and accidentally killed his man, so this dead man monster has always wanted my life. But, you also know, the war groups in Wukka are on a par with each other, and members of the war groups are not allowed to fight privately. If I kill him outside, or he kills me outside, and the respective war groups know about it, we were hunted down by the powerful gods of the opposing battle group, so we all wanted to kill each other outside, but there was no chance. But if we enter the eternal underground palace, there will be no such restriction. Everyone has a life and death fate, and each other's battle groups are not. He will be investigated, so if I enter the underground palace this time, I want to find an opportunity to kill him. Xiaopingan finally understood that the feud between Du Ming and Su Moiwan was probably irresolvable. This time the two of them just wanted to take the opportunity to settle things in the underground palace. Are you sure? This guy is difficult to deal with, and I'm not afraid of him. If he and I had a fair duel in the ring, I would be at least 60% sure that I could kill him. But this guy is the most vicious and will never grow old. He is honestly dueling with me. He must have some evil intentions this time. To be honest, I came to you this time with some selfish motives. If there is a chance, we will kill him inside. Asterisk, Du Ming didn't hide anything. He conveyed the message to Xiaopingan calmly and winked at Xiaopingan. If you can kill him, I will give you the mineral seeds of the divine crystal mine that I got. I'll share half with you, and we two brothers will share the blessing, but I'm not worried about the others. You should keep the minerals in the Shenjing mine. If I kill him inside, just give me a few boundary beads, Xiaopingan said to Du Ming. How many world beads? Am I such a stingy person? If you really kill him and don't want the minerals from the divine crystal mine, I will give you other gifts. This Su Moiwan should have found help too. This dead demon is also a disgusting and evil character in the White Bones chapter. His popularity is very poor. I have informants and intelligence sources in Wukka and the White Bones chapter. He has not found any helpers in the White Bones chapter. In Wukka, people from other battle groups will not help him, so this is what worries me. This guy must have other backups. Half a month ago, this guy quietly left Wukka for a period of time. His whereabouts are mysterious. It may be went to find help. Xiaopingan squinted his eyes slightly and scanned the other people present, so, it is possible that his helpers come from other battle groups or the ancient god blood descendants family. It's very possible that this is the case, but you don't have to worry too much about being plotted, because people who enter the eternal underground palace are competitors, or even enemies, and will be wary of each other. On the contrary, they are not easy to be plotted. If they are not familiar with each other, they will not be easily plotted. If people get close to each other, something bad will happen. Xiaopingan then looked at the few god-level strong men in the previous battle groups who stood out from the crowd and showed the sacred halo behind their heads without any scruples. The god-level elders in the Wukka battle group are you going to take action? Du Ming shook his head slightly. The divine elders of each battle group will not let themselves get involved in such a thing, because it is not worth it. If the divine elders of the White Bones chapter come to deal with me, then our land once the divine elders of the Dragon chapter know about it, they will not sit back and watch. This will cause a fight between the divine elders, and the consequences will be. It's very serious, and it might trigger a war between war groups. Understood. This time the dragon of the earth will have 3 godly elders enter the underground palace. The one standing in front of us wearing purple clothes and holding a whisk is Elder Gongwan Zonggong. Elder Gong has advanced to the first level godly level. he is the most selfless, and even a little bit, that person next to Elder Gong is unkind. Anyway, everyone was here waiting for the door of the underground palace to open, and there was nothing else to do. Du Mingde introduced to Xiaopingan the people he knew and their characteristics, so that Xiaopingan could be mentally prepared. Later, people entered the Dragon Palace 10,000 Waters transformation formation one after another, and when they arrived at the entrance of the underground palace, they all waited eagerly. Even before Du Mingde had introduced the people he knew, people from the Minglu family arrived. Minglu Yonghui disguised himself as a dark-faced middle-aged man and arrived first with one person. After Minglu Yonghui, the other 5 people from the Minglu family arrived in 2 groups, pretending not to know each other. Xiaopingan watched coldly, his face unmoved. In the next few hours, more people arrived one after another, about 70 or 80 more people came, but after 12 hours, no one came down from the top. The people who can come here are all demigods or gods. When everyone comes here, they all wait quietly. Even if they occasionally communicate, they use the technique of sound transmission. It is common for experts of this level to stay in seclusion for months or even years and decades. Waiting here for the door of the eternal underground palace to open, even if it takes several months, is nothing at all. Fortunately, the eternal underground palace did not keep everyone waiting for too long. Just one day after Xiaopingan came here, Du Mingde had already told Xiaopingan almost all the information he knew about the underground palace and the people who entered it. There was nothing to say. While he was resting his mind with his eyes closed, 5 colors of light suddenly bloomed at the entrance of the underground palace, and a strong energy wave came from the entrance of the underground palace. At this moment, all the people who were still closing their eyes to relax opened their eyes, and the originally silent crowd began to stir. In the 5-color light, Xiaopingan saw behind the light, a huge and simple bronze portal hundreds of meters high appeared in the light. The door to the eternal underground palace is opened. Someone shouted excitedly. Just 2 minutes later, the huge bronze portal was completely opened, and the powerful gods from the battle group and the ancient gods' blood descendants family were like lightning, and they all rushed into the huge bronze portal in the blink of an eye. Within the bronze portal, the people behind didn't need to say anything. After the powerful gods entered, the people behind cast their protective spells one after another and quickly flew into the bronze portal. Xiaopingan and Du Mingde also followed the crowd and flew towards the underground palace. Before entering the underground palace, the 2 of them used a tacit understanding to cast a water shield on each of them. The moment he flew into the bronze portal, his vision went dark. Everyone instantly lost contact with the people around them. After a few seconds of darkness, Xiaopingan found that he had appeared on the periphery of a huge palace. The sounds of fighting and the roaring of cannons were everywhere in my ears. The palace is the most magnificent palace Xiaopingan has ever seen in his life. The highest point of the magnificent palace complex is tens of thousands of meters. It is an unimaginably huge metal mandala. The mandala is just the mandala unfolding in front of Xiaopingan. A city wall is as wide as 1,000 kilometers, like a great wall lying in front of him. He was on the ground tens of thousands of meters away from the great palace wall. On the ground between him and the great palace wall, hundreds of millions of metal humanoid battle formations were neatly arranged. On the ground, in the sky on the ground, there are battle formations and warships everywhere, densely packed, and this formation seems to be waiting for their arrival. The battle formation of metal puppets at the front has been strangled with the powerful gods who rushed in first. Thousands of horses galloped, the earth roared, and the black warships in the sky rolled over. A battle formation composed of hundreds of millions of metal puppets. This scene shocked Xiaopingan. The most magnificent war in history that he knew was not enough to describe the situation in front of him. In the roaring flash in the distance, countless. The shells with the smell of gunpowder had already blasted towards Xiaopingan and the others, exploding violently around Xiaopingan and the others. The cavalrymen riding metal war horses urged the horses, and hundreds of thousands of cavalrymen raised their sharp sabers high and rolled in like thunder.